Well, joining us on the phone right now is the Admiral himself. Joe Sestak joins us as his bid for U.S. Senator continues. And Joe, good morning. How are you?
Good to be with you, Jeff. I'm fine. I hope the same to you.
Things are going very well. How did you survive, before we get into the nuts and bolts, how did you survive the storm that hit us?
I struggled 4 times. I just sat at home in between that. However, Sunday morning, I had to go all the way up to State College. And I had parked my car out by a main road, dug that out. A trout puck came along and said, hey, let me plow you out. And I was quite taken. Once again, Pennsylvanian helping another one.
Well, let me tell you something. This man on the phone knows what he's doing. The retired Admiral, former Congressman, Joe Sestak, with us right now. Joe, one thing I want to talk about before we go any further. The State Democratic Committee meeting in Hershey last week was canceled. All right?
Yes.
Do you think the State Democrats will endorse someone, or are you hoping for more or less an open primary?
I don't know what the outcome would have been. I do know that the state chair was going to put in a motion that there be no endorsement. Now, I can't tell you why, but that's what they said. Look, sure, if somebody wants to endorse me, that's fine, but I've never asked anyone for an endorsement, organization or person, because you know what? You go downtown, let's say Philadelphia, 42% of the families are living in poverty, or 18 kids, 18 and under, are living in poverty. They don't care who endorses whom. All they want to know is, hey, there's a way for me to get a start in life.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because I'm thinking about what to talk about. One of those things is the market, because the market is so unpredictable right now. People are kind of looking back at 2008, perhaps another recession. What are your thoughts about where we are and where we need to go with that?
Well, there's 2 points here. First off, I'm very glad that I fought hard after Wall Street's derivative trading. $800 trillion of derivative trading they could do in a back room. Didn't even have to be on the marketplace for transparency or reporting. Now today, because of the Dodd-Frank bill that we fought hard to get, there's a referee on the football field up there in Wall Street where they have to report it, and you can now see if there's going to be any large system kind of downturn that you can intervene and correct it. And no bank is any longer too big to fail. So that's number one. We've got better controls now. Just like little kid soccer has a referee, so should Wall Street. Number two, I'm pretty hopeful for the future. China is the one that's in a tailspin, and manufacturing's about to come home. It costs today, Jeff, as much to produce something in China as it does here, because their wages have gone up 15% each year for the last 8 years. And second, the cost of shipping has skyrocketed out of sight because there's not enough shipping. And so right now, I have somebody I met who has closed 8 factories there and brought 6 of them here back to the United States. This is our moment.
Joe Sestak is our guest on the phone. He is running for the Senate in the Democratic primary for Senate. You know, things have changed since you were in Congress years ago. More people, do you think more people right now are worried about the economy or the global issues like ISIS and terrorism? What are you being greeted with out there?
I think day in and day out, a working mom, a working father walks out that door wanting to know if their wages are going to increase finally for their hard work. Because the majority of American working families today are earning $4,000 less in real income than they did in 1999 because they haven't shared in the wage increase. But second, I think almost tied with it is a great point you bring up. It's a very dangerous world out there. Look, I honestly learned a lot when I headed the Navy's anti-terrorism unit. Was on the ground in Afghanistan for a very short mission to get in the Afghanistan war. Commanded my carrier battle group for the wars there. I had to actually operate with the Iranians. I learned something, that militaries can stop a problem. We don't fix a problem. And nobody thinks we fixed Iraq. With China arising, building 4 artificial aircraft carriers on reefs where they land aircraft to own the South China Sea, and 4 naval conflicts have erupted with Philippines and Vietnam and others, a short one-day conflict. This is a pretty dangerous world. We better have people down in the Senate in both parties, which we lack, who understand, walk strongly, but carry carrying a big stick, but walk quietly. And when you do need to use our military, use it. But don't use it in wild, crazy ideas like Iraq.
Joe, before we let you go, and I appreciate your time, and we're going to talk again, obviously, leading up to the vote. The McGinty and Fetterman, the opponents, any debates scheduled? Any head-to-head conversations?
Yes, we had one at the Education Association about 3 weeks ago. We're supposed to have one of the state committee. This coming weekend, we'll have one out in Pittsburgh. And I think there'll be a couple more that have been offered. And I think debates are fine. They're good. People should be out there. But you know what I'm always going to remember every time I'm up there? When I was a congressman, I actually kept our office open 7 days a week up until 9 o'clock every night, rotating interns under my staff so we could keep it open. During that last recession, to bring it back to where you began this conversation, are we up for another recession? I had 18,000 of my constituents walk in our office 4 times the average congressional office because we kept it open in that war of the recession. 1,000 of them were losing their homes. We saved about 650 of them. But that's who I'm never going to forget. So despite who wants an endorsement, despite just these debates every day, like I talked to you earlier, I'm going to go out there and talk about issues that affect working families. And that, more than anything, is what I want to do.
Joe Sestak is making the bid for Senate in the Democratic primary. We thank you for your time. We're going to talk again. And Admiral, always love hearing your voice.
Jeff, it's always a pleasure. Have a great TA day.